Welcome back to That Handicapping Show at bloodhorse.com. I'm Tom LaMarra, joined by Pete Denk. And this weekend we'll be looking at the Grade 3 Arlington Classic, 1 1/16 miles on the turf course at Arlington. Very interesting race, attracted a full field of 12 before scratches. Little rain in the Chicago area this week. It's expected to be dry by Friday and Saturday according to the forecast. So for handicapping purposes, we handicap this race for a maybe not firm, but close to firm turf course. So keep that in mind come Saturday when you handicap this race. Pete, how do you see this one shaping up?
Yeah, I was thinking the turf might be good. It's hard to tell the weather. There's some rain in the forecast in Chicago. This is the prototypical good betting race in that there's probably at least 5 horses that the bettors are going to divide themselves up upon in the win slot, and I don't think anyone's lower than 3 to 1, unless something happens unforeseen. Of those 5, I'll start with the rail horse Brown Almighty. Eddie Castro, who I think is one of the more underrated turf riders in the country, gets on this horse. And this is a horse I like a lot. He was 4th last time in the Transylvania Stakes. Didn't get a great trip. He was a little rank earlier. Rosie Napravnik yanked him back. He put his run in, and as I watch his 6 career turf races, he puts his run in every single time. This horse has had his share of trouble. He was 3rd last year in the Bourbon at Keeneland and really got slammed hard. Even in the Breeders' Cup, he had a little bit of trouble when pressing a really hot pace. He wound up fading to 9th, but I think this horse is actually a little better than he looks on paper. I like the spacing, I like the workouts, and the rail post is good for him. I would foresee a pace pressing, stalking, or even, he could even be sent from the rail. I don't think there's a ton of pace in this race, and Brown Almighty is going to be my pick here. There are a whole bunch of other horses that make sense that we should talk about, though. This is a solid field. Who looked good to you here?
Well, I'm going to go with General Election in this race. Has never run on the grass, which makes him a little bit more risky. He has won on the dirt and the poly track. He's kept very good company his 3-year-old season. Running against My Loot, Departing, Black Onyx. Ran 2nd in the Lexington Stakes at Keeneland behind Winning Cause. I really don't know what that race means, but I think he's bred for grass. He's in the hands of a very good trainer in Kellen Gorder. Been waiting for the horse to run on the grass, and I think if you're looking for a price, you think that he will draw some action, and I do kind of agree with that. But if the horse is going to be a price in a turf race, this might be it. If he runs really well, I doubt that you'll get that same price again next time. He is a closer. He doesn't have a lot of early speed, and quite frankly, his brisk ratings in most categories are on the low side. But he's the kind of horse I think that should be used in the exotic, so I'm just going to throw him out there. Of course, we have Admiral Kitten in this race who should draw some action. Procurement, you mentioned Brown Almighty. And this horse on the outside, the team block horse, Bamba Zanki, who really didn't run well in the Transylvania, but obviously has a great shot to rebound. He's in good hands with Chris Block.
Yeah, so he's a little better than he showed there. E.E. Perez is on board. He's in the 12th hole. I think this is a pretty tricky trip for a horse who wants to be close to the pace. You mentioned Procurement. Nice win in the La Puente last time at Santa Anita. My notes ultimately say here, I think he looks a little better on paper than he is. On video, he's got that daisy cutter stride that works really good on the firm turfs out in Southern California.
Right.
That stride doesn't always transfer that well to Arlington, especially if we have a good track or slower.
Yeah.
We should speak about For Dubai. Kent DeSormo's on board. This horse was 2nd in the Illinois Derby last time behind Departing. Departing came back and didn't run great in the Preakness, but this isn't that class level. When I watch For Dubai's races, he's all over the track in the stretch. A lot of swerving, a lot of bearing out. He's not the prettiest mover. A little bit of a grinder. I think he's a good horse. The Illinois Derby drew a good figure. I'll go against him here on the turf at probably what is a fairly low price. Wanted to mention a long shot that's a little bit interesting, Yorkshire Icon. This horse is by 60s Icon, bred in Great Britain. He won on yielding turf last time at Arlington.
He did.
In a really nice race where he was 8th, 12 lengths back at the second call. Really coming from a position that you almost never see horses win at from Arlington. He came up the inside. He got a nice cut, only came off the rail once. But it was a really nice performance. Final quarter in 23-1 on a yielding course. I think Yorkshire Icon, if they're closing in here, is an interesting long shot to maybe hit the board.
Yes, he won the Arlington Allowance race in his third U.S. start. In his second start on firm turf at Keeneland, he finished ninth. War Dancer won that race. That's a pretty nice horse, but it wasn't one of his better efforts. And then, of course, the race before that, his first in the country, he ran on dirt in California. So clearly, you know, this may be a horse that may have found his best stride last time. And you know, he just can't say that the horse can't run well on firm turf. We don't know that.
Right.
But clearly, he would prefer a yielding surface, I guess. One more long shot that we can talk about, a horse called Gefest, who has never run on the turf, trained locally by Gennady Durachenko. Interesting breeding, Shakespeare out of a Lemon Drop Kid mare.
Yeah, turf bred for sure.
He's turf bred. I think he's not quite up to this class, but first time turf is always dangerous when a horse appears to be bred for it. That doesn't mean that they're going to like it, of course, but again, one of two horses that have not run on the grass yet, so that should be interesting to watch.
Yep, a live long shot, I think.
Yeah.
And I'll point out my pick, Brown Almighty, did win his career debut at Arlington on a good turf. I think that's what we're going to see on Saturday. But it should be a really good race.
All right, that is the Arlington Classic, one of 3 stakes on the Arlington Park card that will lead up to the Arlington Million card in August. That's on Saturday. We hope you enjoy the Memorial Day weekend. Lots of racing on Monday as well. And we thank Briss for the past performances. For Pete, I'm Tom. We'll see you next time on That Handicapping Show.